Yo, 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 what it do? Josh DWH here. Welcome to the Creative Hustle podcast brought to you by DreamWork Hustle and the Bronx Brand, where we highlight Bronx creatives and talent straight out of the Bronx doing their own thing. To my left, please introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, I'm Monica. I'm an organizer of Hydropunk the Collective, Bronx based.
Hi, I'm Tiara. I'm also an organizer in Hydropunk, Bronx based.
Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for coming up. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Nah, it
In
ain't
the
nothing.
heights right now.
So cute right now.
So we brought you guys up here because you guys put together an event that I've personally been to now.
Yeah.
Tell us about what the event is, Hydropunk.
Hydropunk. Okay. Well, you went to Art Expo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
It was cool. You guys had, if I'm not mistaken, you guys had the band in the back.
Yeah.
It was a really big space, though, so it was
Yeah.
pretty cool. And I ran into a couple of old friends there, so that was pretty cool.
Everyone was saying that it was a whole high school reunion.
Nah, yeah, it really was, though. But how did you guys, what is Hydropunk?
What is Hydropunk? Okay, so me and my brother founded Hydropunk in 2014 with the intent to have a music scene in the Bronx. See, me and him would go to Carajoland, Brooklyn, and Queens and shit.
All the dead end
Just
spots.
to enjoy a hip hop scene and a punk scene that was dope. Don't get me wrong, but after a while, we realized it was hella gentrified.
Yeah.
It's a lot of white people. We couldn't identify with that space. We felt displaced, so we figured why not have an event that's local and
Your own
accessible,
events.
by the hood for the hood type shit, you know?
Yeah.
And with that, we started hosting hip hop and punk shows in my backyard.
Dope.
Yeah.
And where in the Bronx are you from?
East 180th Street.
Okay,
2
cool.
in the 5.
Shout out to 5 Line. So you used to do it in your backyard.
Yeah.
Did you guys used to charge for entry or how
No,
did that go?
it was
Oh,
free.
just free for the culture.
Mhm.
That's
It was
dope.
for the
That's dope.
culture because we don't have nice things like that in the
Yeah.
Bronx.
Yeah, the last time the events they just always in the Bronx, especially when they especially when mainstream people try to do shows, a lot of
Yeah.
people in the Bronx just they just ruin it. Some
Yeah.
fight pops off or whatever. But that's good. Did you guys have security there or how did they go? Everyone just came as they came.
We were security. These are people that are from the community, and
Dope.
we don't believe in calling the police in the community. So if something went down, we would
Handle
do
it.
whatever means possible just to de-stress the situation, you know?
Dope.
Yeah.
So, when did you decide to move it from your backyard to a bigger venue?
When we started to have a more bigger crowd, and
What was the biggest crowd you had in the backyard?
Her
up.
patio ended up being a stage.
yeah,
Oh.
The
Yeah.
back patio was the
So
stage.
y'all had the stereo, y'all had the little
we
DJ,
had the
or-
whole PA and sound system that our Theo lent us.
Dope.
It was a
Yeah.
community
Nah,
effort.
that
you know?
support from the families.
That's
everyone
how
know.
it starts, you
Yeah.
know, bottom up type shit. And over time, we began to realize we deserve to have events in a safe space.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, the second event, the police did show up.
The art expo or the backyard.
The second
one?
event in our backyard.
Okay. Yeah, noise complaints, of course. they're
Yeah,
gonna come.
and that's when I realized I want to do whatever means possible to continue the culture, but in a safe space. Because we do attract a lot of undocumented folks, marginalized people, you know.
Yeah, I did see a lot of
POC.
older folk
Yeah.
at their show. And
That's-
Mike was there too. You were there too. Yeah, I
Mike
saw
was
there
vending
too.
with the
Yeah.
Bronx Brand.
Shout out to Mike, man. Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, and over time, we have a following, and we wanted to use culture and art and politics all into one because it's important, you know,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of shit that's happening in the Bronx that a lot of people don't know of because, everyone's working to survive.
Yeah.
No one really has the time
to be passionate about
to be passionate, to be aware of, the displacement that's happening, gentrification, how they're building a new jail in the South Bronx, things like that. So, we began to realize, we have a following, why not educate and create culture at the same time, So that's how Hydropunk is now.
So you're basically you're the head of it, and what do you do exactly?
I'm Tiara. I joined in 2016. I met them through another backyard show.
Yeah.
They invited me. I'm a painter, so they invited me to showcase my work free of charge. As most of our art expos are, we don't charge anyone to vend or not even fees for tables. We supply that
Dope.
for fundraising. So they were like, yeah, it's free. Just put up your stuff as much as you want in the backyard. And then after that, I was like, wow, this is so much different than other art shows I've been a part of, where you just kind of like go,
It's a big
show
vibe.
up, and then you leave, and then you don't make any connections. That's my experience with other art shows. You just show up, sell your work, and then go home.
Yeah.
With Hydropunk, it was more of like, all right, we out to Morris Park Pizza, and then meeting other people like Alejandro, like working together with photos. I met photographers that we would share and we would barter services. So like I paint a jacket for this person.
One hand wash the other.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then I found all the bands, and then I would go to their music shows, and then that's when I started going to like DIY shows.
Yeah.
Like we went to the meat shop all together too, where we were all in the backyard, and we were like, there's a show tonight, let's go. And we would all walk together to the meat shop, which is like another DIY venue that used to be in Little Italy.
Dope.
In the Bronx.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that. Say, I'm from East Gun Hill Road, so I used facts. I go a lot like downtown for a lot of events myself.
Yeah.
So like it's good that y'all like. How do you go about finding the venues for the spots that you have now? Because the event that I went to and when was it? In, the
It
summertime.
was,
February.
February 3rd. Saturday.
February.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I remember I had went and the venue was very big. Like it was like 3 big rooms. You guys had the band in the back. And then you had, right when you walked in, you had a lot of the artists that either did photography or they painted. And then you had a lot of vendors in the big room. So, like, how do you guys go about, like, finding, like, how do you know you're going to sell? Like, do you guys sell tickets online?
When it came to that venue, it was most of our venues are word of mouth.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are DIY, it has to be like low key. It's not like a registered.
DIY meaning.
I noticed like it was just like
Yeah.
it was like a backdoor kind of show. Like I didn't even know what I was getting into. I walked in, there's music going on in this room. Then you got like Method Man in another room. Then you got like a rock band in the back. But it's really dope because you guys draw like all different diverse kind of crowds.
Yeah.
So that's dope. Nah, like that's a powerful. I respect it,
Thank
honestly.
you.
So how did you like come up with the name Hydropunk?
Oh. My brother should be here to tell that story. But it was.
What does your brother do? Like you guys basically do the same
he does
thing?
graphic design. He's co-founder. He helped me come up with like the concept of it, like making the shows and just attracting like people from the Bronx. 'Cause he's a skater.
So you only do Bronx artists, like, or how does it go about?
That's our focus.
Our focus is Bronx and Uptown artists.
So every artist that I went to in
all Uptown.
in February, those all Uptown.
All Uptown
Dope,
artists.
Dope.
That's who we serve because we need representation, in our community,
Nah,
which
that's
is
lit.
something that we have. There's a lot of talent in the Bronx and Uptown, but there's really no safe haven to displace it without people trying to like take our culture and commercialize or exploit it. And we want to make sure that. Well, Hydropunk, for example, like it's strictly run by POC, people of color. Like we want to make sure that the people that are in our team are from the community.
Yeah.
And know about our struggle.
Yeah.
So that's like a number one priority that we have. And in terms of space, like we don't affiliate with gentrifiers. We don't affiliate with spaces that are known for displacing the people. So I don't know, like I feel like at times people are
hesitant to
have us at their space because we
Yeah.
do have some like very open politics about who we fucks with and who we don't fucks with.
Yeah.
It's people first. Yeah.
Nah, that's dope. So, how did Hydropunk come into play? Like, what was like you was like, I bet. Did you guys have another event name for it at first? Like, it was just backyard, like. Like, did you guys have like the two, like like backyard shenanigans, like or like some cool?
It was a backyard party.
All right, though.
It was a backyard party featuring a local Bronx band, Static Vision. Shout out to them, and just like local artists.
Dope.
Yeah, and that's how we started off.
Did you guys like print out flyers or like?
There's been a couple of shows. I remember some titles that we had like Hood Love.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like, so you know what I'm saying? Like, was there like a theme to like a couple of them?
Yeah,
like, you gotta dress a
had
certain
different
way.
We
titles.
always
Like,
have a theme. We always have a theme. Like Hood Love was so much fun. It was like, we had we collabed with RRC, Rockstar Rap Club. They're like a Bronx-based rap collective, and we had that in a backyard in Parkchester. It was like a whole trap lineup.
like right under the train, like Parkchester, or like in the buildings,
Like a little in the where the houses are at, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, they had like
that's dope.
a big backyard space. Like we provided sound, we helped them out with doing door and all that, and it was all trap and hip hop.
So
it was lit.
So it's run by you, your brother, you said.
Tiara.
Tiara.
Yeah, I'm mostly I'm coming from the arts background, so the art expo that you went to, I
Yeah.
curated that show. I chose all the artists and the vendors. I helped set up everything. I designed I chose that venue because I wanted enough space versus a backyard.
Yeah.
I found out that venue through a friend, and it's a privately owned warehouse, so
It was
I
in the
felt
cut,
safe
too.
there. Yeah.
From someone from the
Wasn't it
Bronx.
cut?
From someone from
James
Throgsneck.
Reyes, Bronx-based artist from Throgsneck. Him and his family, super sweet, great hospitality, Puerto Rican, great.
I love them.
Nah, that's dope. What was the most challenging thing, like doing all these events? Like, what was the most like challenging event that you like had to do?
Ooh, you want to answer that?
It's been I think they're all different because all our spaces are different. Everyone always asks. Of, like,
You don't use the same space twice?
We don't use the same space. We use them twice. We've used our backyard a couple times.
Yeah.
We've used the meat shop once. There was another DIY place around Hunts Point, CSI, that we've hosted there too. We move around. We've been around Fordham. So everyone's always asking like, where's Hydropunk going next? Because we're kind of like nomads. We're always
Yeah.
using different spots. So with each venue, it's different. There's different crowds at different venues depending on like where it's at. Each one is different. Warehouse was definitely the Bronx Art Expo, and the warehouse was different because it was the largest space. So it took a long time setting up, and I'm grateful that the owners let us set up weeks in advance, because when it came to that many vendors in one space and hanging up artwork,
Must
I
have
needed
been a
that
crazy
time.
headache. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody getting set up.
Yeah, because usually our things are like one night and then we set up that night. But like for this, I needed time to set everything up, get the tables in, set up everything for the sound, to have a sound check. That was like the largest scale. But when we hosted at Bronx River Arts Center, it was a different experience for us because,
That was after the one in February.
yeah, this
Okay.
Yeah.
was, what was the date for that? It was not that long ago.
It was a couple weeks ago. Like after Art Expo, we took like a 3-month hiatus because like we are working class women, you know.
Yeah.
Like I had to go to school, and I graduated. She had to go to school, and
Yeah.
she graduated.
So you guys
like,
both graduated.
Yeah, we graduated the same
Congratulations.
week.
Nah, that's dope.
Yeah, so like for 3 months, like we couldn't really do much because we had to, you know,
I was exhausted, to be
we
honest.
had to work to
I was
survive, you know.
Yeah.
I was exhausted, and I still had to work. I still had to go to school. We were still showing face at other events, but after that large warehouse event, we
You had
took
to like
a break.
chill for a second.
Yeah, we had to de-stress.
We had to
It
de-stress,
was a lot of mental
and we got a
physical
lot of
power.
feedback from it. And so like that, we were just like reflecting on that experience. Of,
Did
like,
you guys charge at the door?
for that event? Yeah.
Yeah. So like you guys just put the money back into the next event.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
Any money that we profited off, besides breaking even with the tables, because we didn't charge any vendors or artists for tables and chairs and supplies, all that came from our pockets and fundraising.
Dope.
Luckily, we prepared for this months in advance, so we had fundraising from the community that were able to like not break my pockets that
Yeah.
much, but
Yeah.
we all invested something into, whether it's time. I slept basically at that warehouse.
Yeah.
I would be there early in the morning because the table deliveries started. They were like, I'll be there between 7 and 2 o'clock, so I have to be there at 7 a.m.
Nah.
I was in my pajamas. But that all came from the community. We didn't receive any grants or anything like that. The only
No corporate
sponsorship...
com-
Are you guys
Companies.
looking for them though?
No, because I don't really trust anybody.
Yeah. Nah,
I mean,
hear it.
we're not gonna lie. Like our last event, like that's when we realized like who we want to affiliate with and who we don't want to affiliate with, because it was not a
It's-
nice experience.
yeah.
To be quite honest with you.
When you're getting grants and you're getting offers for venues from like nonprofits or the city, for example, it changes things. We're used to DIY, which is do it yourself, where you have the authority to control what's going to happen and how you
can
want to run
determine
it.
how the situation goes.
But when you're working under the city or a nonprofit or another organization that's offering you something, they kind of like hold it over you, and you have to play by their rules because it's their space or because they gave you money. You have to
Yeah.
prove something to them, and it's a different vibe whether of how you want to do your show, and it's also just a different experience because you're giving something because of taking their offer, and so for that, I'm not really interested in getting like city grants or anything. If I do get a grant, it has to be from a place that I trust, and I'd rather just fundraise from the community. We sold stickers, we were selling candles.
I had everything.
It took us 3 months to fundraise for Art Expo. 3 months, just like working nonstop.
I mean, it was a pretty successful event though. Like the bands were pretty good too, and the crowd was very respondent. Like it was a good event all around. So I applaud you guys.
And most of the money that we made from Art Expo, we gave it back to the band. So
we had to pay off the DJs, the band,
the sound guy.
How many DJs you guys had lined up for that one?
We had
2.
Dos Flacos, Casper.
No, it was DJ Flacco and Casper.
DJ Flacco and Casper.
And they're from the Bronx too?
Yeah.
Dope.
Yep.
Not doing it. Where was the band from?
Da Pop. Wild
Jesse's,
Sleep was from the Bronx. Yeah. Da Pop. 2 of the boys are from Long Island.
And then Jesse's
from Co-op City.
Yeah.
Nice from Co-op.
Oh, he's from Co-op.
Yeah.
Dope. Nah, that's. I don't know, man. I know there's like talent in the Bronx, but y'all really I didn't know all of those artists was from the Bronx, so that's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
What was the most rewarding thing that you've gotten from this?
Oh my god, I guess seeing people from our community just coming to us and telling us thank you for giving me a space where I feel free, where I could let out, and just cry and dance and mosh and sweat. Because, at the end of the day, when you leave that space, you're going back to reality. You're going back to working,
as a release,
to your family, Sometimes, we need an escape, because out here, in the real world, it's not safe. So we wanted to create a safe haven for our community. So just hearing people, talk to us and tell us, thank you for this, just, inspiring us to, do something bigger and something more, impactful,
What was the most rewarding thing for you?
That's also one of my favorite parts when people come up to me. The mosh pits are what makes me feel. No, because as women, when other women come up to me and they say, "Oh my goodness, I love that pit," we get to be in that pit and still have fun, but it's good. Whenever somebody
if you've
falls,
never been in a mosh pit, you're not gonna understand.
Whenever,
go get in a mosh pit.
Whenever someone falls, it's a different pit culture than when you go to Brooklyn.
Nah,
where
they pick you right up.
we pick people up. Yeah. Versus I've been in a pit in other places and they will stomp you out and nobody cares. But it's here, it's different. You still get the energy of the pit, but you know that people care about you, which is different. So when I hear that they had a good time and they felt comfortable in a pit, they saw other women in the pit. That's another thing.
Alejandro's sister was in the pit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Alex.
I didn't know that, but I'm happy to know. I was in the pit too with my dress. I don't give a fuck. I'm in there.
Different breed.
Yeah, that makes a big difference when you see other women comfortable in the pit, and it creates a community that you feel comfortable in to join, and that makes me happy that they get that release too, and they feel safe enough and welcome.
Another thing, when people network at our events,
just
seeing what they do afterwards, and just collabing and creating, that's so dope, because we knew that we were the gateway to that. Yeah, that's a good feeling.
That's how everyone. You guys were the gateway for me to meet everyone.
Stop crying.
How do you guys stay motivated to keep doing the events? There's no stopping the train. Do you guys see this whole thing? Are you motivated to make this a bigger event? Do you guys see yourselves selling out well, you guys want to keep it DIY, or
we don't?
You guys would move to more of a thing and start moving bigger things what kind of keeps you motivated to want to strive for more, basically, for the hydro pump?
Yeah.
I mean, recently we've been going over our goals and kind of restructuring of what we really want, what we want to accomplish. We're going to learn more into property, to how to own property, because after our experience working with another venue, it became more apparent of we need a space of our own where we control where we want to, how we want to host,
what we have to say, most importantly, because we do have some very vocal politics that we serve the people, and coming from the Bronx, there's a lot of stuff that's happening, Jerome Avenue being rezoning. Recently we went to a workshop, conference, where people from Grand Concourse were talking about how they're being displaced and how
their landlords were harassing them.
You know, these are the realities that a lot of the people that come out to our shows have to face. So we don't only want to be a show that just lets them in and they leave. Like, we actually want to provide resources for our community because that's important, you know? So not only do we want to create shows, we also want to create education, you know, panels, like how to dismantle machismo, you know, how it's okay to, you know, to have emotions. Because a lot of the people in the hood, they need healing. We need healing.
Everybody do.
Everybody needs healing, you know? And what keeps me motivated is, like, my ancestors, you know, my roots, because my parents are immigrants, you know? And just, like, knowing the struggles that we all have to go through and how unjust they are, you know? So that's sort of, like, what keeps me going. Yeah.
That's great, honestly.
Yeah.
What we got here? Outside of hydropunk, what do you guys want to do with yourselves?
That's a good question. You want to go?
Like, y'all got it as a collective, but individually, like, what would you like to do?
Yeah.
Individually, I just finished school for art history, and so creating shows, this hydropunk kind of fits me in that, where I was able to do that with Bronx Art Expo too. Met people through that and got a taste of, like, what was it gonna be like creating a show on my own, but with the support of, like, the hydropunk family. And on independently, I hosted a video premiere for Surface NYC, which is a Bronx-based skate crew.
Dope.
They skate out of 157. They had a video, and I suggested that, like, they show it more than just posting it on YouTube, so that they had a space. So we hosted it at the Bronx Social Center, which is a community center that's hosted in, like, the basement off of the 2-5 line, and it was a free venue, and it was really nice. They all got together and they had a place, and watching them so hype over their own videos and, like, waiting for their clips and everything, like, made me happy. And, like, I got an interview with them, and so giving people that that platform is a goal that I want to do. But I'm also an educator, so I was working at a high school in Hunts Point, and right now I'm working on becoming a TA at college, at my college right now. And
what's a TA?
A teacher's assistant.
Okay.
So I'll be teaching art history, and everything that I learned in institutions, like, I've worked at a museo. Everything I work at these places where I don't feel comfortable, like, I bring it back, and I always think, like, how could we do this our way? Anything I learned in school, it's like, all right, now how can I teach this my way? Whatever I take from the books and how they force me to write papers, like, how can I write this about our people, and write our stories the way we want to, instead of having someone else write it for us. So that's kind of, like, my goal.
Yeah, I graduated with a major in journalism and a double minor in political science and photography.
Out here.
And, like, I strive to be, like, a photojournalist. You know, I have ties with the Bronx Documentary Center. I worked with them in the past, and now that I'm a graduate, like, they reached out and they told me, like your time is up.
Yeah.
Let's collab. So that's something that I plan on doing. Besides that, I don't know. Let's see what happens. I trust the process. You know?
How old are you?
I'm 22.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay, dope. Damn, you're young. I'm only a year older than you. I'm just talking shit. But nah, that's like, to curate events at 22. I know people that are like 27. Yeah. But it's good that you guys are, like, really, like, involved now, like, because a lot of people procrastinate, especially, like, they sleep on themselves. But that's really dope that you guys, like, highlight a whole bunch of Bronx talent.
Yeah, right on.
What would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Aww. I feel like I've had this experience, like, and I just got a letter from my high school, because we wrote a letter senior year, and they would send it to us when we would finish college, like 4 or 5 years later. And reading that just made me emotional, because I was like 17 when I graduated high school, and so reading my 17-year-old self giving myself advice, like, kind of put me back. I was like, all right, I'm gonna humble myself a little bit more. No, but it grounded me a lot, and so I feel like I would tell my 15-year-old self to, I'm trying to remember, like, what I was doing when I was 15. Oh my God, what was I doing? I was, like, doing my pendejas. Oh my God, I was, like, running around the Bronx. I had a lot of fun when I was 15. I was running around I was running around Grand Concourse, but it was fun. I would tell myself to find friends that enjoyed and like, what's the word? Like pushed me to do what I wanted to do and not make fun of me for it. Because I think that was also my issue, and like I couldn't find anyone that really understood like why I liked going to museums so much and like why I liked history so much.
Frowned upon.
Yeah, it's not frowned. It's just people say it's boring. So, like, yeah. But even though like my friends are all different now, like they never put me down with what I want to do. We all lift each other up no matter like our differences. And I think I would tell myself, like my 15-year-old self, that it is possible to have different friends that lift you up instead of bringing you down, and it's okay to enjoy what you enjoy. Yeah, and I was also shy. I was shy at 15.
Aww, I was too.
Yeah, I was super shy. I wasn't as vocal as I am now. Like now
you
you
wouldn't
hear,
even do the podcast.
You hear me like down the block.
She's
now.
our human microphone for hydropunk. She don't need a mic.
Yeah,
her voice is the mic.
I don't need a mic now. When I was 15, I was really nervous and I was kind of shut out of like, no, nobody from the Bronx likes what I like to do. I gotta go out to all these other places, and I don't want to make friends here. But I should have not have been like that. Like if I could tell myself now, like there are people. Monica lived in the Bronx. She lives like 10 minutes away from me, and I didn't know. I live down East Tremont, and she lived like 10 minutes.
We're meant to cross paths.
Like every time we talk about it, we're like, "Yo, why didn't I meet you earlier?" So like I wish I branched out, and like it's okay to open up to different people, and feel more comfortable.
Nah, I hear it.
I agree with you 100%. I don't know. When I was 15, like I was really rebellious.
In what way?
And like I just questioned everything because like I hate authority, especially if it's like oppressive. And like I would just question everything. Like I would question my school, like my teachers, and like I felt outcasted because like I didn't fit the social norm that society places, right? And then now that I'm older, like I realize like damn, like your feelings were valid. You know, like coming from like public school, you know, I went to the Bronx High School for Visual Arts.
Where was that at?
Bronx Park East.
Bronx?
Palm Parkway, 205.
Okay, I don't know where.
But before that, I went to the Urban Assembly School for Wildlife Conservation, and it's this school. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but some kid got stabbed. The stabbing that happened in the Bronx with a pair of scissors. That was my old high school, and middle school. Yeah, so like being in that environment, like
very hostile, intense.
I mean, I wouldn't say the kids were hostile. Like there was just a lot of like institutional neglect, like shitty education. Teachers
Nobody
didn't
cared.
care. Nobody cared, you know, and I saw that at a young age. And, you know, I would question my surroundings. Like, why are the streets shitty? Like, why are they dirty? You know, and a lot of the times, like, we live in a society where, like, they don't want us to question. And, like, I felt very alone. And now that I'm older, I'm just like, your feelings were valid. So I would tell myself, like,
feel those feelings.
Trust your feelings. Trust your intuition because it's real. But, yeah.
Nah, that's dope. What changes do you want to make in this community? Like I know you told me about the rezoning in Jerome and how they're building a prison in the South Bronx, you said?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that personally.
Yeah.
What changes do you personally want to see?
You want to answer?
I think we're all still learning. Like we're learning too. We've been going to more information panels. Being educated by the Bronx Social Center has helped me a lot. I've been going to their meetings and I get their emails. And now I even find out like there's a community board meeting this week, and like who the hell knows this? Because otherwise, like I wouldn't have known. And without these connections, like that's what we're trying to do. Is like whenever I find one of those, I post it. We always post it and we send it to people. Finding out like, okay, this person has expertise on what to do when your landlord doesn't want to give you hot water or gas or heat. Like now I know who's an expert and who can actually help you besides calling 311. Because 311, I've called 311 like 5 times for other people and nothing has been done. And so now going to these meetings and getting into other circles, like we're finding out like, okay, who's an expert in this, who's a lawyer that can actually help you, that can help you for free, because nobody can really afford a lawyer for that. Like, when you go to Bronx housing court, it's a hot mess. So finding people who dedicate their lives to this, because there are people who dedicated their lives to this in the Bronx, and they should be acknowledged more, that there are people out there doing that work, but it's just hard to find those connections because of everyone's working. We don't have time. That information is not accessible. And that's another thing. That information is not accessible, and it's for a reason, because they don't want people to know.
They don't want to
when they're making these decisions for us.
Yep.
When you go to these meetings, half of the time, they are not people like us. There are other people who are not from here that sit on community boards, that sit on these tables, and that vote yes or no to decisions that affect us, not them. And so our goal right now, like, when it comes to what we want to accomplish, we're still learning, and so what we can now, we just share the information that we find and connect people to the resources and the direct people that can actually help their situation.
Yeah, so that's definitely the goal, like being the gateway for working class communities that don't have access to this information and resources, and we're just trying to find a way to like centralize it to like the main points. That way people know like who to go to, where to go to, at what time, what place, you know, because our people need education, and that's something that clearly we don't have. And it's not because we don't want to get educated, it's because the system purposely,
just so limited.
It's limited, and
they purposely keep it
the
discreet.
Bronx is the stepchild of New York City. We're the dumping ground of New York City, you know, like no one gives a shit, but we do. And I'm pretty sure
Manhattan's all built up, and Queens and all that, but the Bronx don't really got too much going on.
Yeah.
Y'all giving me a whole different type of enlightenment on. I tell you that, but this is a big. It's a lot of things that, you know, people don't talk about on an every day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? So for y'all to like really just be so focused on that, you know what I'm saying? It's very enlightening. Because I didn't even know, like, half of it. Like, I'm learning from y'all. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to throw you off. We're going to finish off with this last question. Left field. If you was a superhero, what power would you have?
I want teleportation because I'm tired of the fucking train. I'm tired of that fucking train. No, you don't understand this. I'm on the 6th line. I'm on the 6th. It's the worst. It's the absolute worst.
I feel bad for you.
It's so slow, and then it just sits on 3rd Ave 138 for fucking 20 minutes. It just gets me so tight. So if I could have power, I just want to teleport. I just want to teleport so I don't got to wait for the train no more, and I could just, whoop, be where I need to be.
Just snap the fingers and you're dead.
Yo, that's like, you took it from me. I don't know, telekinesis, just like pick things around.
Or like on some Magneto, like.
Yeah. Like, you ever play Dead Space?
Oh my God, that would help
I'm
so
a gamer
much.
girl, like Dead Space, like that's all I would do, telekinesis.
Nah. I'm definitely with the teleport. I'm definitely with that. Well, thank you so much for coming up to the Creative Hustle podcast. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Definitely opened my mind to a lot of things. I hope the listeners could take something from this as well. If you guys are on social media, please let me know where they can find you.
Thanks for having us, y'all. This was fun. We in the Heights right now.
Yes. So our Instagram is Hydropunk. It's HYDR0PUNK. A lot of people start with the O, but we try to get that account taken down because it's like a spam account that has that name right now, but we can't get access to it. So it's a Hydropunk with a 0. And then on Facebook, it's just regular Hydropunk with the O. We post on Facebook and Instagram. We're working on an email list so that we can start sending emails out with more flyers and more updates. But yeah, for the most part, you can find everything. Our email is listed on Instagram. You can also just email us if you have like an idea you want to share or anything. Yeah.
And when's the next event, if you guys have a date?
On this Saturday, we are marching in the Fish Parade at Hunts Point. So we'll be marching, talking about environmental justice, and we're pointing out the asthma rates in the Bronx. We have the highest rate of asthma in U.S. and that's all due to the waste production that happens in the South Bronx and the car exhaust through all the traffic that happens through. And we wanted to point that out in this parade because as it is like themed happy, and it's like fish parade, so similar to Mermaid Parade in Coney Island. We do want to focus on the reality that we have a problem. There is a huge problem with our water. The high school I worked at had lead in the water, so
we got to take care of that.
Yeah, there's some issues that's happening in the water and in the air that we breathe in every day. So that's our next event that we'll be marching through, and also we'll have a table set up for information and like to talk to people.
Dope. Well, you heard it here first. Thank you guys for coming on to the Creative Hustle podcast. We signing off.